So my name is Jasmine Bhatti. I'm a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for 13 years, and I'm an entrepreneur. So I'm the CEO of a company called Navi Nurses. And what we do is we provide access through a platform that allows the ordinary person to hire a nurse on demand for whatever they need. And this fills the gaps in care, either when people don't qualify for home health or when home health just isn't enough for them. So I graduated from ASU with my master's degree in 2013. And I came back a little bit later and started my PhD at ASU. And I really wanted to focus on becoming a nurse leader. And my goal was to actually run a hospital at the time. But I have like a whole other set of plans instead. So while I was in the program, I started TAing for the College of Nursing and Health Solutions. And I was teaching ASU 101, and I was taking my students around, and I ended up bringing them to an event at a center called the HEAL Lab, and it's the Health Entrepreneur an accelerator lab, and it's in the Wexford building right now. But I brought my students in, and they were able to listen to a professor named Dr. Hall, and he was explaining all these amazing things that people were doing in healthcare and what things could look like in the future. And he encouraged all of my students to come in and talk to him if he had any questions, or if anyone had any questions. So I don't think any of my students did, but I did, and I actually emailed him the next week and had a visit with him and told him I had some ideas and I'd love some help. And that's kind of like the start of everything from ASU. So he was really helpful for connecting me to a lot of the resources at school. So for example, a lot of my legal paperwork I had drafted in the beginning came from the College of Law at ASU. They were able to help support all of the bills of our papers for like $250, which is so important when you're starting off. I also applied for the Venture Devils program and won the $10,000 prize through that. And that helped me really get going as an entrepreneur, because as a nurse, I had no idea what I was doing in business. And then I went on to like the second part of Venture Devils. It's called Venture Devils Plus. And that's really ushered me into this whole startup ecosystem. It's just kind of like one thing builds on the next. And that's kind of been really what the journey has looked like so far. So ASU has been a really big part of that. And I'm really excited because last year we were the first nurse-led company that was accepted into the ASU Mayo Clinic MedTech Accelerator program. So it's kind of come full circle for me, starting as a student, going all the way through the Venture Devils program, and then it's here in the Valley. And so I've just had incredible resources from professors and the whole community along the way.
Every entrepreneur has their own reason for why they're choosing the unconventional route. Can you talk a little bit about yours?
Sure. So I actually never thought I'd become a nurse. That wasn't ever like a plan of mine, but I always knew I wanted to impact healthcare at a really large level. So I was applying to law school. I wanted to work in health policy because I thought that that's the best way to make change happen. And at the time, my grandmother was diagnosed with head and neck cancer, and I was still in school myself. And we decided to take her home and care for her at home, which was amazing for her, but it was really hard for me. Like I failed all of my classes. Taking care of her was a lot of work. She had a trach, so she was breathing through a hole in her neck, getting food through her belly and like a tube in her belly. And I realized at the time that what we give people when they leave the hospital for care is not enough. Like people need so much more support than what we offer them. And there were times I wished more than anything there was a place I could go for more support, but there really isn't anything. So that whole experience inspired me to become a nurse. And then when I became a nurse, I realized that what I thought was just unique to my family and I isn't, that there's so many people that go home and they need more help and more support, but they have nowhere to go. And so I was able to spend my last 8 years as a nurse at Mayo Clinic, working alongside the same nurses who had taught me so many years back. And it was just incredibly important and precious for me to be doing that. But I really realized then that we need to do better for people and that there are so many gaps in healthcare. And I saw it not only as a family member who had to take care of a loved one, but also as a nurse, and just understanding that we have to do better. And so now, my whole why started with how do we help people have an easier time caring for their loved ones, which is what I experienced. But now I get to see that what we're building and growing is not only helping people in the most remarkable ways, but it's also helping our nurses. And my nurses now are the why, because we have a tremendous amount of nurses who have an intention to leave the profession in the next few years because of everything we went through with COVID. And if we don't fix that, we're going to lose a lot of nurses, and that's going to disrupt healthcare for everyone. So my big why right now has kind of shifted a little bit. It's still about helping people, but now how do we help the people who help everyone so that we can still have a really great healthcare system?
And then now, can you talk a little bit about some of the qualities that you've discovered that every entrepreneur should have?
Oh, I think a few of the most important qualities that an entrepreneur should always have is number one, curiosity. Be curious to think differently, think outside of the box, and be curious enough to try to find the answers and think about new ways of doing things. So curiosity is number one, and just always staying curious. And it's more than just that. So you've got to be able to be curious, but you have to be able to take action, right? Like there are so many people that have ideas and they think that they can do things and it's gold, right? But the truth of the matter is like building a business is a lot of work. Being an entrepreneur is hard, and it takes persistence, and it takes hearing a lot of no's and not getting what you want, right? But that's part of that growth. And so having a growth mindset that's coupled with that ability to take action, I think those are probably the most important things. And just always approaching everything with a really growth, like with a growth mindset. So wanting to learn, wanting to listen to what other people think and say, not always having to listen and take action on what they say, but at least hearing from others and incorporating their opinions and thoughts in what you do and build. And so being open-minded is really, really critical as well. Like your way is not always going to be the only way. And if you can surround yourself with people that make you think differently again, then that helps you really design a better solution and something that is more comprehensive and probably more sustainable.
Can you talk a little bit about your typical workday now that you're both working on your PhD and then your business?
Oh my gosh, I don't think there's such a thing as a typical work day. Every day is like entirely different. I do work like 7 days a week, but it doesn't feel like work anymore. I tell my parents all the time, like I worked 3 days a week in the hospital and I was exhausted, and I work so much more than that now, but I'm not anywhere near as tired. And I think part of that is because I love what I'm doing, and my why is so powerful. It's my North Star for me. So it doesn't feel like work, but I mean, an average day can be anything from meeting with my teams, my core group of people who are helping me build, and rethinking things and addressing challenges. And sometimes it's um, working with people, like helping to coach and lead the people around me so that they're set up for success and on the right track. And it's networking, a lot of networking, making connections with people in the community, and a lot of it is giving back and paying forward too. So being able to help other people along the way is something important to me. And so that's always probably something that I include. But the most important thing for me that I've realized is that I need to carve out time for myself. And so I have like just a few rules. So like every week, I need to make sure I spend time with family, friends, and a mentor every week. And I need to work out every day. I need to do something for myself. So no matter what that day looks like I'm usually up at like 5:30 every day. I don't probably stop working till about 10 at night, sometimes even later than that. But that's okay. Like I get to kind of fill in the day as I choose, and having that flexibility and not being stuck for something for like 6, 7, 8 hours at a time is really nice. I never had that luxury because in the hospital working as a nurse, like you're on for 12, 13, 14 hours, and like there is no break. Like you can't just run to the grocery store and do something. Whereas like as an entrepreneur, I can kind of build my own schedule, and it changes. So as the business changes, my roles and responsibilities change. And now that I'm bringing more people on, I have like fewer hats to wear, which is really nice.
Would you say one of your favorite things about being an entrepreneur is that flexible schedule? If not, what is it?
Ah, one of my favorite things about being an entrepreneur. You know, I come from healthcare. I come from nursing where we're not ever really invited to the table. Nobody really listens to what we have to say, and they don't take nurses seriously a lot of times, which is really unfortunate because we understand the problems in healthcare so deeply, both as like the clinician, but also from the patients that we spend all of our time with every day. So my favorite part about being an entrepreneur is actually being able to take ideas and do something with it. Like, I don't have to wait to be heard from someone else. I don't have to wait to hear like I'm given permission to do something. Like, I just get to do it. And I know that I'm guided by what I know to be right and wrong, and by the science and the evidence that is really prevalent in the literature. But I would have to say that's my favorite thing, is that I now have the ability to make things happen, whereas I've never had that before.
What advice would you give to someone just starting out on their business journey?
Just start. Like, there are going to be so many people that probably say you're crazy, or why are you doing that? That's risky. Or there's always naysayers, but just follow like what it is that is inside of you, your North Star, your why, and what it is that you feel you need to do, right? I know that what I'm doing is like my purpose in my life. It's taken me a while to get here and realize that. But like when you find that, that's everything. And just to not be afraid, like, you're going to hear a lot of no's. Things aren't always going to go the way you want, but it's going to go the way that it should happen, right? Like, there's so much alignment in things when you find what you're doing, and when you surround yourself with the right people who want to help you, and have the resources to help make connections. People are so helpful in the business and startup community. And if you just start to connect with people authentically, like getting to know them and helping them with whatever they need, like, you're going to find that what you give out comes back to you 10 times more. So if you're interested in learning more about Navi Nurses, you can find us. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can find me personally, and it's Jasmine Bhatti. And then if you need anything, of course, like, you can always call into our main line. It's 480-482-1891. And then someone will get you connected over to me. But our website is www.navinurses.com, and it's NAVI nurses.com. So I'd love for you to take a peek and learn a little bit more, and I'm happy to help support in any way that I can.